Am I the asshole for telling my cousin what she was eating? This happened in 2019, but has recently been brought back up, hence my post. Necessary background. I'm half French, dad, half American, mom. When I was 11, my family moved from the States to France. I lived there during the school year and spent summers back in the US. Growing up, I had a cousin, Jane, who I was never very close with. When I moved to France, she was outwardly jealous at first, but then started using it to brag to her friends, because it meant she got to visit us there pretty often. We don't live in Paris, but Jane was always telling people about how she went to Paris all the time. When we got older, the bragging stopped because they didn't visit as much, and she became hostile towards me. I cut contact and figured that was the end of it. In autumn 2019, I got married in France and invited all my American family. Husband and I live near a small castle that's rented out as a gîte, kind of like a holiday home, so we paid for my family to stay there since there isn't enough room at the house. Jane was invited because I didn't think it would be right to exclude her when her siblings were coming. In France in the autumn, there is a huge culture of going mushrooming. We went as a family and everyone loved it except Jane. She spent the whole time complaining and making nasty comments. When my mill and I were making dinner for everyone using the mushrooms we had picked, Jane came into the kitchen, said, "Wow, I didn't realize you were so poor that you had to eat stuff you picked off the forest floor," and then walked out. I was so ashamed but also so thankful my mill doesn't speak a lot of English. She ate around the mushrooms at dinner and kept making disgusted faces. A few days later, we went to a nice restaurant for dinner. Jane ordered a dish with the same mushrooms she had been disgusted by, but since this was an expensive restaurant, she wouldn't shut up about how incredible the food was, how the mushrooms were so much better than anything you could get in the States, and how she couldn't wait to go to the market to buy some. So I told her she wouldn't have needed to buy any if she had participated more in the mushrooming, since they were the same, but we got ours for free. When I said that, she completely stopped eating her meal and refused to interact with me for the rest of the trip. There was a huge rift in the family, because she left the day before the wedding and spent the rest of her time in Paris. My aunt was furious that I had publicly insulted Jane and was very cold to me for the rest of their time here. Recently we've been wanting to plan a family reunion for when things are safe, but my aunt is saying she and Jane wouldn't come after how I treated her. Am I the asshole for my comment? Not the asshole. How did you insult her? That doesn't even make sense. You told her a fact. Facts aren't insulting. They are just facts. Now if you said, "Listen you dumb ass, you realize you're eating the same mushrooms you just shit all over the other day, right?" Which is still the truth but a little less kind. Lol. Your cousin is a brat. Good riddance. I wouldn't want cousin or aunt at my family reunion if they can't even act like adults. My aunt was furious that I had publicly insulted Jane and was very cold to me for the rest of their time here. Gee, I wonder where Jane learned her disrespectful, shitty, nasty way of treating other people. Not the asshole. Jane embarrassed herself long before you embarrassed her. You should probably count yourself lucky that she didn't attend your wedding. You may have avoided additional jealousy-inspired scenes. Recently we've been wanting to plan a family reunion for when things are safe, but my aunt is saying she and Jane wouldn't come after how I treated her. Don't threaten me with a good time. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. And what kind of spoiled idiot doesn't know where mushrooms come from? And I love mushrooms, especially in savory dishes, and I would have loved learning how to forage for them. Host the family reunion in France and breathe easier that Jane and the aunt won't attend. Not the asshole. Your cousin is a brat. It's good they won't come. Seriously. And now that she said that, you don't even have to invite them. Not the asshole. And as an American, this is further proof our education system is failing. LMAO. Who doesn't know where mushrooms grow? Did your cousin think mushrooms used at that restaurant came from Louis Vuitton or something? Oh, and good riddance to them. Your cousin had no problem insulting you based on her opinion, but once you insult her with facts she wants to act all butthurt. I would just take this as a blessing. Lol. Don't have to invite her or her mom anywhere now. Their loss. Less excuses for them to go to their beloved Paris. Not the asshole. And as a bonus you don't need to deal with Jane anymore. More mushrooms for you. Winking face. Not the asshole. Jane is an entitled, spoiled brat and your aunt encourages her disgusting behavior. I'd cut ties with them if I were you. They've given you the opportunity to do so now, too. Good riddance to them. Not the asshole. Surely anyone that's been to France knows mushrooming is a thing? All the pharmacies check they aren't poisonous one for you. Not the asshole. I don't think they'll be missed. Peasant food. You made her eat peasant food. Just ignore that most nice regional cuisine restaurants are based on food that originated among peasants. That farm-to-table seasonal, snobby food culture is based on what most people did to just eat before modern refrigeration, international shipping and supermarkets. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. She sounds like a complete brat. I know the type lol. And although I know it isn't the nicest thing to do, but sometimes you just have to slap a person down when they've been complaining about everything. She also sounds like a drain as opposed to a radiator, so really why would you want her at a family reunion? What is there to reunite with? Someone who will insult everything you do. Nah homie, you are completely justified in being exhausted with her shit. Not the asshole. She was being rude just to be rude. It's not your fault it came back to bite her. You're better off without her. Not the asshole. Jane is a spoiled brat. Her mother never spoke up when she was cutting down your family culture and customs. However, you tell her that she's eating the same mushrooms she criticized, and you're the bad guy? I would host the event and thank your lucky stars that Jane and Aunt won't attend. Not the asshole. You gave her information and she couldn't handle being wrong? She could have been gracious, but instead she caused a rift. Like nobody would care if she just said, "Oh, I stand corrected," and enjoyed her meal like a normal person. Not the asshole. And your cousin is a mushroom. Not the asshole. I would have done the same thing. It's common courtesy to let them know. If ate them and built them up while they were in a fancy place, she should be put in her place, downgrading the ones you had. It doesn't matter the cost, let people know when they're being shitty. Let them get mad or learn the lesson. Some people think they're special and act as though they're something they're not. They need to be taken down a notch or two. Good on you for teaching her. Not the asshole. She publicly insulted you over and over, her mom can't say shit. Double win, you didn't have to have her stank face at your wedding. Not the asshole. Your cousin was being a massive brat and was being disrespectful. Not only was she rude the entire wedding, but was completely disrespecting the whole cultural aspect of mushroom picking. She is just straight up ignorant and needs to fix her attitude. Also want to add, how were you insulting her? If you worded it another way, possibly I could get it as an insult. But if you said exactly what you posted, that was simply you telling her what was in her dish. Info. What kind of mushrooms were you hunting, eating? Not the asshole. Crazy entitled cousin is crazy entitled. Not the asshole. Il aurait fallu lui faire gouter des ammonites phalloides. La. Elle aurait eu une raison de faire la tête. Not the asshole, but this isn't as subtle as I'd have expected hobbits to be with family. Not the asshole. Jane is a snob. Where da fuq does she think food comes from? Also, if these are morels you're talking about, she is also foolish for turning her nose up at getting for free what everyone else pays out the nose for. Not the asshole. You were right at the time. And now it's just a happy bonus that Jane won't come to the family reunion. Not the asshole. Jane is a jealous brat. She is trying to pick apart anything she possibly can because you're the cousin that got to live abroad and now having a beautiful wedding. You have the life she wants. No wonder she's so bratty too, considering her mom lets her get away with anything. TBH, she's toxic and so is her mom. I would cut contact with both of them and not invite them to future events. If anyone says anything, I would just let them know that Jane is very hostile towards you and it makes you uncomfortable. Not the asshole. Your cousin is just an arrogant American who wants to brag to her friends about how cultured she is, but refuses to take part in the actual culture. Not the asshole. Jane clearly had a bee in her bonnet the whole time. You literally told her the truth about her food. The fact she felt shamed by that says more about her than you. Not the asshole at all. Side note. Mushrooming, c'est marrant comme terme, je vais chercher comment le traduire. Tu dis quelet ou chasse aux champignons? Je me suis rendu compte récemment que mes potes disent quelet mais dans ma famille en dit chasse, ce qui n'a pas beaucoup de sens, du coup ka Emma fait rire. Not the asshole. You pointed out that she was being a dummy, and she got embarrassed over it. I can't. This woman is lucky enough to have French family and therefore an excuse to visit France regularly, and she's bitching about doing cool French stuff like mushrooming instead of lame touristy stuff. Not the asshole. What an entitled jerk. You are the asshole either for not giving all the information or for posting a story where you are so clearly not the asshole. If this is really all the info your cousin seems not gr8. Not the asshole. Seps are life. Great. Now I'm craving all these mushrooms you're talking about. Not the asshole. Your cousin sounds very hateful. Not the asshole. Does the girl not know how mushrooms are grown? The real story here is that you are sharing your mushroom picking spot with outsiders. Yes, extended family are outsiders when it comes to mushrooms in France. You are brave. My family would only give out that info under threat. Okay, bye. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Has your cousin ever visited a farm? The freshest eggs come from a farm. The best meat comes straight from the butchers from a local farm. I bet she would turn her nose up at fresh-caught trout pulled out of the local creek. The best asparagus was picked from my grandparents' field. I try to grow strawberries in my backyard. City folk. Sigh edit. Tell her the elite French food she thinks she is eating was mostly peasant food. You know, poor people food. Not the asshole. I personally wouldn't have used a public forum to tell her that. Seems a bit mean-spirited, but she clearly had it coming and I don't blame you at all. Not the asshole. I mean, really, will you miss her? Not the asshole. Lo Ling at Jane being hoisted by her own petard. She embarrassed herself with arrogance and ignorance. Doesn't sound like it'd be a huge loss to not have Jane or her mother at the reunion given how rude Jane was during the mushrooming trip. Not the asshole. You won't come? Do you promise? Not the asshole, and I literally grinned when I read what you said to her. She deserved worse. You weren't out of line at all. Good on you. Not the asshole planned the reunion without them. Jane has an attitude I've tried to deal with, but she continues to be very aggressive and you said you both would not come, so there you go. Not the asshole. Jane is acting highly immature if she's a teen or older and still making disgusting faces about food she didn't like and rude snide remarks about mushroom picking. Jane better adjust that attitude as that's not going to earn her much respect in the adult world. You're not the asshole for your comment. Especially considering it's the truth and nowhere near the level of rudeness of Jane's remark about mushroom picking or your aunt's uncalled for anger against you. Not the asshole. Sounds like you won. No Jane and no entitled aunt at the reunion. Yay. Not the asshole. When Aunt and Jane decline their invitation, respond with "You think that's best for all." If you were as petty as me, you would include "That's good," as their behavior is not acceptable and will upset the other family members. Not the asshole. Jane publicly insulted you. She called you and your in-laws poor and dirty. All you did was point out she was eating mushrooms. Why Aunt is saying she and Jane wouldn't come after how I treated her. And nothing of value was lost. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If you are missing a Jane, I will come be Jane. I will Jane it up all over France and happily pick mushrooms. Careful. Things like this can get out of hand and mushroom on you. Absolutely not the asshole here. She has no manners and much pretense about her. You'll all have more fun if she stays away. What an absolute bellend. Not the asshole.